Hey guys, I hope everyone's day is going well. So today I'm going to be teaching a really cool trick from Chen. This is what the trick looks like from my perspective. Alright, so that's what the trick looks like. Also for this tutorial, I'll be using the YoYo's Affinity. I think that's what it's called. But let's jump right into the trick. This is a really cool trick. It's definitely a more difficult one, but once you kind of get it down, it's a lot of fun to do. And if you bust this thing out in competition, I think you'll be scoring pretty high on that specific element. And so you'll notice that with this trick, there's that catch with your arm kind of like that. For the sake of simplicity and just this beginning part of the tutorial, I'm gonna teach it where instead of catching it on your arm like that, you're just gonna be catching it in your hand because that's a lot easier. And at the end, I'll give some tips and tricks on how to warp it into actually the arm catching and completing the trick. But I wanted to break down the very beginning of this trick into kind of three main components or three progressions you can do to learn it. So first things first, you've gotta be able to know how to do a jade whip. In this tutorial, I will not be teaching the jade whip, but I'll have a link in the description down below on how to do that trick. There's a bunch of great tutorials out there, but you have to be able to know how to do a jade whip from just the basic trapeze like that. From there, it's also important to know how to do the jade whip from just a dead yo-yo right here by taking your pointer finger of your non-throw hand, kind of pushing into the string, popping up, and catching like that. That's also super important. So once you know how to do both the normal jade whip like that, and then you also know how to do a jade whip with the yo-yo just hanging dead like that, then you're ready for the next step of this trick. And so essentially what's going on with this trick, I know it all kind of happens at one moment in time, but I'm trying to break this down into progressions and different steps so you can understand the mechanics of it. But basically what's going on here is you'll be starting with a dead yo-yo like this. You'll do a jade whip and you'll catch. And again, for the sake of this beginning part of the tutorial, I'm just gonna catch with my hand, but later on you'll be able to catch with kind of this area of your arm. But basically what's gonna happen is you'll be doing a jade whip like so. You'll catch with your hand right there. Your hand will be facing down because you're doing a normal jade whip. And then what's gonna happen is you're actually gonna turn your palm of your throw hand facing up like so. And what you wanna do is land the yo-yo onto this string right there, coming from the front. However, you want to do that basically all in one motion in the entire whip. So again, what's happening here is we do the jade whip motion, we catch it, and in midair, you're going to turn your hand over like that, and coming from the front, you're going to swing the yo onto that string. Once again, the string that I'm referring to is this one right here. And it's also super important that you curl your three fingers in, these three fingers of your throw hand, to make some separation and actually make it big enough to land on. So obviously that seems pretty simple, you know, just do the standard jade whip, turn your hand over like that, and land it right there, and you're in the Eiffel Tower. That's the mechanics of the trick. However, doing this trick all in one motion is a whole different beast. And the reason that it's more challenging is because with the normal jade whip, you'll notice that the yo-yo is almost always underneath my hand. So when I'm doing this jade whip just like so, the yo-yo is almost always underneath your hand. With this Eiffel Tower trick, however, is what's gonna happen is the yo-yo actually should come over your throw hand. So basically, when I'm preparing for this trick and I'm doing it, the yo-yo is gonna be popping up above my throw hand, which is a very unnatural movement. But basically what you wanna do is, in midair, once you catch this string right here, immediately turn your palm facing up like that, and guide the yo-yo to land onto that string right there. So I know it all kind of happens in one motion, but that's basically what I'm doing in midair, is I'm throwing the yo-yo into the air. I'm making sure that I'm whipping the string actually underneath the yo-yo. So this is what that kind of whip should look like. So you'll notice how in midair, my hand was actually directly underneath the yo-yo. which again is a very kind of unnatural thing to do with a standard whip, but that's something you're gonna have to get comfortable with for this trick. So again, I'll be like this, and the string is gonna be coming over like that. I'm gonna catch it. Basically, again, what you're trying to do is catch yo onto this string right here. Basically, the string that's directly coming off of the middle finger of your yo hand. And then you'll have completed the trick. However, if you're learning this trick right now, you'll notice that this trick is a lot harder than maybe what meets the eye. The reason for that is because the area for you to land the yo-yo on the string, this little area right there, is so small. I mean, if you look at it right here, I only have a little bit of real estate to land this yo-yo on. So for starters, I would recommend when learning this trick, try to use some longer string just to give yourself a little bit more space. If you're having a lot of trouble with it, try to just add a new string onto your yo-yo that's maybe a little bit longer, and you might have a little bit more room to actually land the yo-yo on the string. Also, I would recommend using a yo-yo that's maybe a little bit smaller when learning this trick. Obviously, when you're doing the trick and you got it down, you can use whatever yo-yo you'd like. But if you're struggling to learn this trick and want to make it a little bit easier on yourself, try using a yo-yo that's just a little bit smaller. That can make it easier in landing in that kind of tiny little area right there. And so again, when I'm whipping in midair, my hands are underneath the yo-yo and it's kind of whipping from front to back. I'm gonna try to give you guys a really good slow motion right here of what's going on with my hands and whipping the yo-yo. And so if you've landed in the mount correctly, you can go ahead and really do whatever you want from this point. You can take the pointer finger of your throw hand and kind of whip that string around a little bit. I like doing that. Sometimes it likes to try and get caught into the yo-yo, but don't let it do that. And you can just drop or do whatever you want. But that's basically the trick. Now I'm gonna give you guys one other tip just before I let you guys kind of go and learn this trick. And that's to, instead of moving the yo-yo up, straight up and down like this, so instead of having the yo-yo go vertical like that, you wanna have it kind of move in a more counterclockwise rotation. Now I don't mean this exaggerated. This is a very exaggerated version of how the yo-yo should be going. But the reason I say this is because if you're doing the yo-yo if you're popping the yo-yo just straight up and down and trying to land into this mount, it becomes a lot more difficult. However, if you kind of add a little bit of some from right to left movement for my right-handed players, what that does is when you're in this mount right here and you're trying to land the yo-yo, there's a little bit more of a swinging motion you can do instead of just trying to directly land it. So I'll show you right here. If I try to shoot the yo-yo straight up into the air and straight down, it is going to be extremely hard for me to actually land on the right string because as you'll notice, I just hopped onto a bunch of strings at one time. You don't want that. However, if I give the yo-yo a little bit more of a swing, and basically it's very, very subtle what I'm doing, but I'm basically just shooting the yo-yo up from the right and letting it go to the left. Just shooting up from the right and going to the left. What that does is it kind of opens up the strings a little bit easier. This is what that looks like. So as you can see, the yo-yo didn't just move straight up and down, it kind of moved from right to left. And that's just a tip that I have for trying to land the yo-yo on that string. Now, I know it's gonna take a lot of practice for you to get this trick, and I personally really, really struggled with this one at first. However, if you try doing those tips that I've mentioned, I think you guys will be able to get it in no time. Now, in order to do this trick exactly like Chen Yang does it, he actually does it with his kind of opposite side of his elbow on his arm. And so the way that he does that, instead of catching the strings just like this, just grabbing them, instead it's draped over his arm and he catches it like that. He's essentially holding a pinch with his arm just like that. So in terms of recommendations as to how I'd go about landing it that way, really make sure you know how to do the trick with just your hand kind of grabbing the string, your non-throw hand grabbing the string. Before you venture onto anything where it's going into your elbow like that, really, really try to get that first kind of motion down and be able to do that trick many times in a row. Once you've got that absolutely down, then try adding your kind of elbow pinch right there, because the elbow pinch just makes this trick even more difficult. Obviously, it looks pretty cool when you land it with the elbow. However, it's gonna make this trick a lot harder if you try to just jump right into that. So I highly recommend when starting learning this trick, just catch it with your hand like that, just grab the string and then land the yo-yo, as opposed to trying to go directly into having your elbow catch it. It's gonna make it a lot harder. Okay, but that's about it for this trick. I'm gonna let you guys go on your way and start learning it. I know this trick may seem a little bit intimidating, but I promise you guys, once you get it once, you'll kind of understand how it works, and it's gonna make it a lot easier for you to get this trick down with more repetitions. As usual, if you guys are having trouble with the trick, be sure to comment down below in the comment section, and me or one other person is going to answer and help you out with the trick. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy learning this one. Again, it's definitely a challenge, but once you get it, it'll be so satisfying and you'll be landing that Eiffel Tower in no time. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.